Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Lindsay. If you're new, I have a Christmas tutorial to do for you today. So if you just found this because you're looking for a Christmas tutorial and everyone's just getting in that mood already for the holidays, then welcome. I'd love to have you stay. I do a lot of paper crafting, handmade journal videos, so please click the subscribe button and stay. Or if you've been watching me for a while and you just haven't thought about hitting that red subscribe button down below, please do so. That way you won't miss any of the videos that I upload. All right, so here we go. We are going to be making journal covers today, and I'm going to be making mine out of wallpaper, but you don't have to make yours out of wallpaper. You can make it out of cardstock. You can make it out of cereal box covered with fabric, totally up to you. But I have two pieces of wallpaper here that I think look really Christmassy. When I was putting together the wallpaper pack, that was the video I uploaded yesterday called Country Afternoon, I came across these two pieces and I thought they needed to be pulled out for Christmas journals. So I don't even know exactly what size I'm doing yet. I'm just going to show you my process because sometimes I don't have a size in mind. I just have a piece of scrap that I want to work with. And so I have two different ones here. And I'm going to kind of pull my paper cutter out here and see about how long we're looking at. And okay, I like this, but this one's a little smaller. Doesn't mean we can't make a smaller one, right? Okay, so let's try for 11 and whoa. Okay, so sometimes my cutter does that. All right, we're just going to change the size. Why not? Here we go. So I believe that is 11. So this is going to be a 5.5 by, let's try 8.5. Just because I want to. I don't even know exactly what it's going to look like, but there we go. And then I don't know if I can do 5.5 by 8.5 here. So let's see. Do we have an 8.5? Nope, so this one's going to have to be a different size. So let's go for 4 by 6. So that was 6, so this needs to be 8. So when we fold it in half, it will be 4. All right, so these are the two different journals that we're going to be making. We're just making the covers. I'm just showing you how to make a cover. All right, so I love using wallpaper for covers because it just adds to me, it just steps it up a notch. You have a different texture, it's more durable, so I really love that. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this side, and hopefully I can use this book, the Happy Christmas Storybook, and I found this, I want to say it was at Habitat for Humanity. I think it's from the 60s, but I love these vintage images, 1961. And so there were some really cute ones, and I think I want to use these for the inside. I'm just looking through. This is just kind of like a craft with me, little longer. I'm not going to try to go super fast or anything. Just, all right, so here is my, yeah, that's going to be about perfect for one of these. All right, so I'm going to look at, I want it to coordinate with this side, so maybe one of the red ones, or that one, the little fir tree. Oh, I love it. Okay, so I'm gonna pull this page out for this journal, the little fir tree, and then this one, this is pretty, and I could even go this way. Okay, trying to see. All right, we'll go with this one right here. Get this out of the way. So when you are lining your wallpaper or cardstock or whatever you have, you don't have to use book pages. If you don't have Christmas book pages, you can use Christmas scrapbook paper. You can use coffee dyed paper. You can use cardstock. You can use whatever you have. It's the same exact steps. All right. Let's start with the smaller one. I have a very small, this is like it. This is a really small workspace for my filming. Okay. All right, so I think we're gonna start about there. I'm gonna mark that because I want these words in there. So that's where I'm gonna glue it. Okay, so I have a little caddy here that I put my most used items in, so I would have them available because I am not at my normal crafting desk. The lighting is better here, and it's also in a side room where I can close the door, and the boys, with all their noise, is just a little less, I'm a little less distracted, and hopefully you are too. So, but they still know right where I am, and I can still hear them, so. I'm just using, I honestly love these Dollar Tree glue sticks. I feel like they're not super, super strong, but I also feel like they don't smash and gush, if you know what I mean, like some of the more name brand ones. All right, and then I already made my little mark where I wanted this. And then press all the way down really good. And since I'm not going to be using my sewing machine for this, I'm going to be showing you a little trick if you don't have a sewing machine to still add some sewing. I'm making sure this is down really good, and I'm going to set this aside to dry for a second while I do the other one. I've been doing a lot of twos here on my video, and I guess that's just so I can show you a wider variety of, let's see, it's a little, which way do I want to go? Doesn't matter. I can show you a wider variety of tips and tricks, and I've had a lot of you comment and say that you've started making journals in multiples or in more than one, and I'm really excited that you guys are starting to try that out. I think not only does it save time, but if you have more than one idea, you can kind of work on them at the same time. Like I found both of these wallpapers, and instead of completing one and maybe not having time to go to the second cover, I just do them both at the same time. I only have to pull out my vintage book once. I only have to do all these things one time. We're going to have to trim down that wallpaper just slightly, but that is not a problem. We're deciding the cover. Nobody's telling us what size it has to be. We're deciding that. So if we have to trim that slightly, then we have to trim that slightly. And I'm just going to use my scissors. That way I know I'm in control and not cutting off part of this book page. It's just barely, it won't even really be noticeable. Oop. And the reason I'm letting it dry is because I used to go ahead and fold it in half right away, and the paper would shift, and I'd wind up with creases, and then I'd have to try to cleverly cover the creases. And yes, it's a junk journal, and you can do that, but I think I set it down one day and went to go do something else, and then came back, and I'm like, oh, it didn't crease. And I was like, yeah, I just need to let it set. So I am not a professional, you guys. Oh my word, I'm not. Okay. So let's go back to the first one, since it's been sitting here, and let's cut it out. If you saw my video yesterday, you saw that I listed a couple different wallpaper packs, and everything is sold except 2 of the wallpaper paper ribbons. I had 3 sets. 1 set sold, I still have 2, but I hope to get some more sets up so you guys, if you don't have access to wallpaper, you'll be able to, you can do this in any theme. Like obviously I'm doing Christmas, but you can do any theme. All right, save the cutoffs just because. All right, so now we're gonna fold this in half to make our cover. There we go. And I have some gold ink. I've been loving this gold pigment ink from Colorworks. It's very juicy, and it really just gives this gilded, whatever you call it, this really pretty, almost like you embossed it with gold, but it's a lot less mess than using embossing powder. I've done that on the edges of books before, and it's a nightmare, at least for me. But I tend to do things the hard way till somebody points out an easier way. So, okay, now I am not going to use my sewing machine. I'm going to try something I have never done before. see, I have some like twine here. I'm trying to decide. I have my needle. There we go. All right. So if you do not have a sewing machine, that does not mean that you can't add quick little like stitches to your journal. And we're going to use the small hole punch, and you can use any small hole punch. And don't be afraid of being messy or having it placed just right. Please, please remember that we are making handmade, quote unquote, junk journals. They're not supposed to be perfect. They're just supposed to, they're supposed to have that feel like they're handmade and that a machine didn't do it. So I'm not measuring. I'm going with my gut. I'm going with my eye. And the more you do it, the more you realize that you actually can trust that most of the time. And I mean, it's not perfectly spaced, but I do really like that. And then we're just going to do this side as well. If you do not have a small hole punch, you could use the regular size one, but that would make massive holes in your book. You could just use a needle or a push pin to poke holes in it. I'm just doing this so that I get them all the same size and it doesn't tear my paper. All right. You know, I don't know how this is going to come out. It is an idea in my head, but I like to give options. All right. So I'm going to take this. This is the one I want to use. I'm going to take this twine. Thread my needle. You can use embroidery thread, whatever you have. And then I'm just going to see how I want to do this. I think I'm just going to... There's different ways you can do it. I'm just playing around. But you get the idea. You're sewing in and out of these holes. Hold on. I'm going to zoom in because I'm small and at the bottom here. There we go. That might help. Now to secure this down, can tie a knot, but it might go through the hole. Oh, maybe I brought some buttons. Maybe. Oh, I knew I had a little green button. Maybe. Like I said, you're watching my brain work as I'm doing it. But I like the creative process, and I like to show how I try things on the go. So I am just using this twine to sew through this button, and this is going to kind of plug up that bottom hole so the thread does not fall through it and we don't have to make a gigantic knot. All right, we're going to pull that tight. Love that. Okay, so I have some glue here, and I'm going to glue that. Hopefully my head doesn't get in the way. Here we go. I'm going to glue this button down so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay. And then while that's drying, I'm going to try to carefully finish my stitching here. Yep. It only takes a couple minutes, and then you have a sewn element to your journals without having to use a sewing machine. This also works incredible if you, say, have a sewing machine, but like me, it's not set up in my filming room. It's not set up in the room you're crafting in, or you're going on vacation and you want to work on some some covers and you want to add, you know, stitching elements. Love it. Look how that looks. I am so excited. It looks even better than I thought it would. All right, so we're gonna go back around this way. And I'm gonna go get a couple more small buttons. These ones are too big. All right, I had to dig up some smaller buttons. It seemed like I almost only had big ones. So I'm just gonna sew this button. Whoop. Hope I'm in frame and you can see. I'm really focused on what I'm doing because most of the tutorials that I do for you guys, it's something that I do over and over and over again, and I don't have to think about it. This is something I'm making up as I go along. So I have to think about it. Whoops. Like I just did that wrong. It's not going to slide down. Okay. There we go. And up and down. All right. And we're going to grab the glue again and glue it down over this top hole right there. Before the glue's dry, make sure it's pulled tight. Press it down. Maybe add a little more glue. Hot glue would definitely work better than this, but I do not have... I should get a hot glue gun set up here in my filming room. There we go. So this side is completed. It's just drying. So let's work on the other side. We're going to do the exact same thing. Let's see. I'm not talking because I am concentrating. Trying to thread these little buttons with this twine is not always easy. Okay, get our glue again. Okay. Pull that down, press it down. And then we're going to do the same thing. Stitch around the edge. Whoop. Once you get the hang of it, you can go really fast because the holes are already made for you. And you could go ahead and go all the way around the cover if you wanted to, instead of just the front and back. That would be up to you as well. I have another little button. See, the second side went a lot faster now that we know what we're doing. I'm probably not even going to get to the bigger journal in this video. It's going to be... Go. Maybe a part 2. We'll see how long this one takes. But I don't want to rush this one because I want you to see all my steps. All right. That is the basic cover. I love how it came out. But now we're going to decorate it to make it Christmas on the outside as well. So what I have here are these two really pretty vintage. They're about from 1900. These vintage postcard fronts. And these I'm going to also put on my Facebook group as a freebie, so you can go ahead and grab them for your Christmas covers and your Christmas projects. And I also, okay, we'll just do this so that there we go. I have a whole bunch of, grab them here, like bits and pieces and fabrics and all of that that I can use for layering. Now this is the smaller journal, so there really is not as much room. So I have to decide what would look the best. Just kind of get an idea of, that's pretty. Okay. All right. So I kind of know the direction I am going. I'm going to pull out my gold ink again and just heavily ink this up so that there's a lot of gold around the edge. Grab my glue stick. And make sure I'm get to the edges really well, because I am not stitching this photo down. I'm just or not photo, but illustration down. I'm just gluing it, so I need to make sure I have really good coverage. We don't want the edges peeling up. And it's going to go a little more toward the top of the journal, because I'm going to put some trim at the bottom. And I really like this gold and green trim. And then just put a line of glue. You can use whatever glue that you have that will hold down ribbon and lace. I suggest something like Fabri-Tac or one of these beacon glues, or hot glue. Press it down, let it dry. So now I'm going to decide if I want to add a button or something like that. I have a few different buttons here. And I'm just going to play around and see if there's one I like. That's pretty. I like that white. It's like a creamy white. That's really pretty. Okay. Get some of my stuff out of the way here. I have a little bit of twine left here. And this is how I like to do buttons. I like to sew the button not onto anything, but just thread twine through it. Whoop. Problem with not having sharp scissors. I destroy about any scissors I buy. I even destroyed the Tim Holtz scissors. So yeah. Okay, and then you can trim it down if you want. Sometimes I leave the ends sticking out just because I like to. Just depends upon the look you're going for. Add your glue and place where you want it. And my friends, that is our Christmas cover. I think we'll go ahead and do the big one. You can stop now if you're tired of watching me, and if you want to see how I do the big one, then stick around. These are going to be for sale in my shop just as the covers. So you can purchase the cover, and then you can just put together some papers and sew them in there, and you have a ready to go journal. It's got to finish drying. How pretty is that? So lovely. Okay, so let's go on to the bigger one. Again, we're going to fold it in half. And we're going to do this one differently than that one to some extent. Just ink it up really good. I like the big like splotches of ink. If you like here, the gold. Oh, you can't see, I'm not even in frame. Huh. There we go. Like right here. I think it just adds a lot of character. Seeing how tight. Okay. I'm thinking, Okay, so we're going to freehand this one. This is going to be fun. All right, so if all you have is, say, like, you know, twine, and you don't have any kind of, what is that, whatever this is called, hole punch, you can just freehand a stitch. No problem. These are junk journals. We want them to have a handmade feel. If they're perfect, then why don't you just buy one in the store? So that's my opinion anyway. My hands are like super klutzy today. So I'm tying a messy knot, and then I'm just going to freehand this sewing. All right, I'm going to finish with the freehand sewing, and then I'll be back to show you how it looks. Okay, I am back. I stitched all the way around, and I did a very primitive stitch. I wasn't trying to be super even. I have the white twine. I went all the way around here and ran out, so I did a knot on this side, like a loose knot on this side, because I wanted, you know, I wanted the knot to show. I didn't want to hide it. And then I ran out of that twine, and so I grabbed some of this vintage embroidery cotton. This is a green, and so I started it off here with a knot, and then I trimmed it, and I was like, what? Why did I do that? So instead of taking it out, I left it because I thought it added a ton of character, and then I started again and hand stitched the rest of it and knotted it off here. So it has a really primitive Christmas feel look to it, and I really, while I was doing this, I wanted to mention, because I thought of something, the wallpaper is really forgiving and durable, so I could easily stitch through it without it really tearing too badly, and it kind of held up this paper. If you have cardstock or lightweight paper, you're going to have to be a lot more careful that the paper doesn't crease or rip too much. Like here, it ripped slightly. It's going to be totally fine. Like I'm saying, it's a junk journal, so little tears, little rips, things like that are fine as long as they don't compromise the integrity of the journal, meaning like the journal's not going to fall apart. So if you can patch it or fix it in any way, perfect. So here we go, super excited. I love how primitive this looks, and it says the little fir tree on the inside, and it has the whole, like the story here of the little fir tree. So let's work on the cover. We are going to take this other little image, beautiful, beautiful little vintage postcard. My Facebook group is listed down below in the description box, and that's where you can go to get these for free. All right, let's just cut her out, ink her up, and grab our bits and bobs and start layering. I keep forgetting to cover my glue. It's going to come back to bite me. All right, so I'm grabbing my pile of stuff here again. I'm really loving this burlap here that has these holly berries. One, because it's a very primitive look, which this journal is really primitive, but also because she has them in her hair. So I don't know. There's some way I want to use this as part of, I definitely do. I'm just playing around with placement. Okay, I'm going to just cut a piece off of this to make it easier for me to work with. I can trim it down later. Okay. So I'm going to kind of have it off to the side here since she's looking in this direction. Look at her lacy dress. And I have some really pretty lace here, and I'm thinking of a second layer, maybe just like right there. So pretty. All right, I think that's good for the layering. You'll probably add a button once we're done with all the gluing here. All right, so we're gonna just kind of flip our layers over and start with this one. This glue might be a little better for working with this because it's not going to dry as fast as hot glue. I do have a suggestion with hot glue though. If you can, I don't always do this, but if you can buy the Gorilla brand hot glue sticks, they don't dry quite as fast and they're much stronger. So you have a slightly more time to work with them. So I'm just going to press this down, and it's kind of sticky and gluey. So we're going to let that dry while we think about how we're going to glue this down. Okay. We're going to do 3 strips of glue on my end frame. I don't want to get glue on my lace tablecloth there. This glue will hold it very tightly. I got it at Michael's, my Michael's closed, and everything was like 75% off. So I picked up all the bottles of these that they had, these in the Fabri-Tac. All right. Layer that on. And if your hands are getting too sticky, you can press it down with something else. But my hands are always full of ink and glue and everything else. Okay, now we have this. Okay, I feel like I didn't put this over far enough, which is why this glue is nice, because the hot glue would have already been too far gone to move. Grab a little scrap of paper so I can wipe up some of this extra glue here. All right, so I'm gonna do, am I still in frame? This is getting all globby. Then I'm going to take this glue around the edges. You could also take her over to your sewing machine and stitch around the edges and then put glue on the stitching. That tends to hold really well, I've found, but this will work well too. Okay. Position her. And then very carefully press down. You don't want to damage this picture too much. There we go. Little bits of glue I'm scraping off here. There we go. So pretty. Okay, let's look at the buttons I have here. Yep, that's what I want. I have a little piece. Sorry, I have a cold and my throat is like, I've been clearing it, so pardon me. I don't feel too bad, like I don't feel too tired or too sick. It's just a little bit of a cold. Like I said, dull scissors. Please let me know your favorite kind of scissors in the description box below, because I probably need to buy some more pretty soon. And there we go. So beautiful. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, there we go. And then all you have to do is put in your pages with a pamphlet stitch or stitch down the middle. So gorgeous. So these covers, this one and the little one, they're just the covers. They are in my Etsy shop. Click the link down below if you want to purchase these exact ones. And head over to my Facebook group to get the free images. And if you're in love with wallpaper right now, I have 2 packs of these left. These are called Country Afternoon, and they're they actually go along with these two. They're all the same, like, kind of collection. And there's greens and whatever in here. But I have 2 of these sets left if you're wanting them. All right, so I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you. I know this is an incredibly long video, but I think we accomplished something unique and different. And thank you all for watching.